Yo, if you're a DTC brand, I want to show you how we generate north of $2 million in revenue for our client. I want to walk you through the different strategies that we use for our clients to generate them north of $2 million in annual revenue on their Shopify store, right? And so what I want to do here is essentially, first of all, as you can see over here on the screen, showing you proof of what I'm actually saying is true, right? So for one of the brands that we manage, so we've generated them $2.5 million in gross sales, but when you look at the total sales on Shopify, which is obviously we have to subtract our taxes, returns, and all the discounts, which comes up to about like $2.1 million in revenue over here, right? And I want to walk you through the different platforms that we use and the different strategies that we use to essentially generate that revenue from them, right? So essentially, I have this overall like this skeleton chain of like the process, what we do, right? Which is essentially quite cool. We have the different platforms that we use to generate the traffic, and then we send them to the landing page. And then from the landing page, which depending on the landing page that we send them to, right, they can go ahead and purchase the product, or they can opt into our email sequence. But from that email sequence, then we take them to automations, and we send them different like campaigns to essentially like nurture them based if they didn't purchase the product, right? So this is essentially like the strategy that I want to run you through, and I want to walk you through the different platforms, right? So on Meta over here, so when we look at the entirety of last year, right? So this is 2024. You can see that on Meta alone, right? You can see all the different campaigns that we have built. Like we have tons of different campaigns, right? So you can see all the different campaigns that we have built out. You can see how much we spend on the platform. So $209,000 in ad spend, right? And you can see how much revenue we generated for the specific brand. So $643,000 in revenue generated at a 3.07 return on ad spend over here, right? Now this is profitable for the brand. Now each brand is going to be different because each brand, based upon like the products and the margins of your business, you're going to need a different ROAS to essentially break even and to make a profit. But for this specific brand, we're highly profitable, right? So this is the strategy that we use on Meta, and a lot of campaigns that we have built over here is Advantage Shopping campaign, right? Now we do have business as usual campaign, which are using different interest targeting. If Advantage Shopping doesn't work for us, then we do have some campaigns that are using that specific strategy, right? But so that's on Meta, and then also as well on Google, right? If you're trying to scale a brand to $1 million plus, right, or even $100,000 or $500,000, you're going to need to use both of those platforms, right? On Google, we're highly more efficient on Google. So you look at the entirety of last year, so from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, you look at all the different campaigns that we have built out. All the different campaigns that we've built out, and then you can see, okay, how much did we spend out on these specific campaigns? So you can see that the entirety of last year we spent $203,000 in ad spend, and we've generated $1.3 million in revenue for this specific brand. And when we look at the efficiency, the efficiency is at an overall 679% return on ad spend. So you can already see between the two platforms which one is more profitable. Google is more profitable. We're spending about like the same that we spend on the Meta, but we generate more revenue at a more efficient price. So you just need both of those platforms, and those two different platforms have different intents. So like Meta is more of a disruption advertising platform, so where you're interrupting people within their news feed, right? And so the goal is to capture their attention, intrigue them enough to purchase your product. With Google, people are on hunt mode. People are searching for a specific solution. They're searching for a specific product, right? So it's easier to capture demand from Google, again, because people are already out there searching for your product. You just have to make sure that you're using the right strategies to essentially capture their attention and get them to purchase your product, right? So that's on Google. And then you can go. It is highly important that you're not just using Meta and Google to generate revenue. You need to extend the strategy out. As I mentioned, you need to be using email. You need to be using SMS as well. As you can see on email, right, on the email platform, like we have multiple different campaigns that we send out. We have multiple different strategies that we use on Google. But from we're looking the specific timeline that we're focusing on Google, you can see that. Let me actually extend this. Let me actually extend it to the fullest extent. You can see that on Google, we generated around like $63,000 in revenue for this specific brand. And then we're also going to go ahead and look at SMS and see how much revenue we've generated just using SMS alone, right? And so let me punch these numbers in real quick to make sure that we are up to date. Okay, so as you can see over here, on email alone, we've generated $78,000 in the past 365 from what 265 days, right? So email is still a platform that we're building out for the specific brand, but you can see just amount like the number of revenue. Like this is, you're not having to pay to acquire these customers. That's the biggest thing. You don't have to pay to acquire customers on email because you already have the information, right? Based upon like the traffic that you're bringing in from Meta, from Google, and from any of the platforms, right? So on Google alone, we have $78,000, almost $79,000 of revenue generated from the platform alone, right? So this is email, and there's like a bunch of different strategies and automation that we have on email. And then on SMS, right? SMS is also a huge part, right? So when we look at just the entirety of last year, right? SMS didn't bring as much revenue as we saw on email, but like $17,000 or almost $18,000 in revenue. That's still revenue that you're not necessarily having to pay for, right? It's essentially free revenue that you're bringing into the specific brand, right? And so essentially you need all of these different brands, you need all of these different platforms to be able to generate north of $1 million to $2 million or $3 million or above, right? You need to essentially build out different strategies on these different platforms. And so what I've done essentially, I've recorded a video. The video is about 40 minutes long and essentially walk you through the different strategy more extent. So we go on Meta, we dive deep into Meta. What are the different strategies that we use, right? What are the different bidding strategies? When we dive into Google, what are the different bidding strategies and campaigns that we build out on Google? We dive also into SMS more granular. What are the different campaigns that we sent out? What are different automation and SMS as well, right? So if you want to watch that full video, click on the link below and go watch that video right now for free.